So we just had some massive news break in the NFL. Myles Garrett has officially requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns. It came out here on social media. He says, as a kid dreaming of the NFL, all I focused on was the ultimate goal of winning a Super Bowl, and that goal fuels me today more than ever. My love for the community of Northeast Ohio and the incredible fan base of the Cleveland Browns has made this one of the toughest decisions of my life. These past 8 years have shaped me into the man that I am today. While I've loved calling this city my home, my desire to win and compete on the biggest stages won't allow me to be complacent. The goal was never to go from Cleveland to Canton. It has always been to compete for and win a Super Bowl. With that in mind, I have requested to be traded from the Cleveland Browns, Myles Garrett. So this is where it gets really interesting, because in the past week or two, Browns GM Andrew Berry made it clear that he would not entertain trade offers for Myles Garrett. And news came out after Myles Garrett made this public from Jeremy Fowler, who said on Twitter, source on Browns stance amid Myles Garrett's trade request, nothing has changed. Team has said publicly it has no plans to trade Garrett. And so often in the NFL, there are situations like this where players want to be traded. They request a trade. Sometimes it actually happens. They end up going somewhere else. They end up getting to a competitive team where they can actually compete for a Super Bowl. And other times, players do use trade requests to try to get new contracts. And so that's where this one is interesting, because on the one hand, I would fully get why Myles Garrett does not want to be in Cleveland anymore. Since they traded for Deshaun Watson, that did not go as planned, and I think at the time, the Browns made that decision thinking that he could potentially play at the level that he played in Houston, where he was a top 5 quarterback, and if he had still played at that level, this would have been a very competitive Browns team. But because it has not worked out, this Browns organization just has not had a lot of success, even though they did make the playoffs last year. They had a 3-win season this past year. And so if you're Myles Garrett, you're 29 years old, you're probably looking at the circumstances of the Browns organization and recognizing that until the Browns get a legit quarterback, they're not going to be competitive come playoff time. And he's probably looking at, his time horizon. Who knows how long he's going to play in the NFL. Lots of guys, in their mid-30s start to decline and at some point stop playing football. So he's probably looking at that. And if he really wants to go and really have a chance at a Super Bowl, it's probably not going to happen at Cleveland with the age that he's at, 29, and how the Browns organization is sort of set up right now. They don't have the answer at quarterback. They do have a top pick. Maybe that changes in this upcoming draft. Maybe they find their guy. Maybe they draft Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. But I do wonder if this is a ploy for Myles Garrett to just get a new extension from the Cleveland Browns, because he does have 2 years left on his deal, and odds are he could be getting a very massive extension soon. And so I would fully understand that this was a legit trade request and that he actually, he's not trying to make this contract happen, but I do want to bring that up as a potential possibility. And when you look at the Browns organization, as I said, they're clear that they don't want to trade Myles Garrett. Maybe that's just if you say you're not going to trade a guy, other teams will probably be even more aggressive in, their trade offers. But for the Browns, when you look at the contract, if they trade him before June 1st, it's going to be a $36 million dead cap hit for the Browns. And so they will lose out on basically $16 million against their cap by trading Myles Garrett, so it does not help them from a financial perspective. Now, if they traded him after June 1st, I think they'd save close to $5 million. And so that's something that would hurt them in the short term. But I do think, when you look at what Myles Garrett could potentially go for in draft capital, when you look at a team like the Browns that won 3 games last year, you do wonder if they were able to get 2 first-round picks, that is something that they could really use to try to rebuild this team. And I guess the question is, are they really trying to win quick, win soon? And if they really aren't going to trade Myles Garrett, then it seems like they have this idea that they can be competitive in the next few years. And so it's going to be interesting to sort of see where this goes. And I want to share this from Diana Rossini, who spoke with an NFL GM. She said one NFL GM on what a trade for Myles Garrett could look like. Probably a 1+. Can't wait for the it will be 3 1s crowd. Not happening. 1 and a 2, 1 and 2 3s. Throw a player in there. Now, personally, I think he's at least worth 2 first-round picks. He has been one of the most consistent pass rushers in the NFL for years and years since he got drafted to Cleveland back in 2017. And I think that there are organizations out there that really could use Myles Garrett. I mean, any NFL team could, and it's not very often that you get a player of this caliber requesting a trade, wanting to go somewhere that's competitive. And so I feel like he should go for at least 2 1s. And so I think a lot of teams out there would be willing to do it. He is 29. I still think he has a lot of time left to produce at a top tier level. He has not fallen off in any way. And so you know for a fact that if you trade for Myles Garrett, you are getting elite production at the edge rusher position. And we're talking like not like, top 15. We're talking like best of the best, number 1, number 2 when it comes to his pass rushing efficiency. So this will be something to watch going forward. And if you're the Browns, I see why they want to keep him. He's an elite pass rusher, but we'll see sort of how this relationship goes and if he's actually able to force his way out of Cleveland. If you want more NFL content, feel free to subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time.